Hey guys, Asher coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today, Lanicus the Chosen, but first, let's open up a few Void Shards here. Just 10 to kind of whet our appetite today. Thank you for the support here on the channel, guys. It means a lot. If you want to support what we're doing here on this project, trying to get a guide for every champion in the game, check out my sponsor. It's Aura. You can try a 14-day free trial. It does help me out quite a bit as well. Hashtag ad, but I stand by. I'm a user of that product for all my cyber and internet and personal security options. One more shard. One more, I lied. Today's going to be Lanakis the Chosen. She's a Dark Elf legendary ally attacker, a very unique ally attacker as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at her kit before we give her a try. No, I don't want more Void Shards, Raid Shadow Legends. All right, so Lanakis, Magic Affinity. It feels like a lot of the ally attackers like Creela Witch Arm, Longbeard, Lanakis the Chosen, Magic Affinity, right? There's a lot of them out there. But what makes Lanakis the Chosen special? She's oftentimes one of the more forgotten ally attackers, excuse me, at least from what I hear in the community out there. Now, first of all, she's very fast. She might be the fastest ally attacker in the game at base speed 108, which is really good, right? 20k HP, easy to keep alive as well. On the A1, she's got a continuous heal on herself as if the attack is critical. Now, I'm personally not building her out with 100% crit rate, just only to take advantage of that A1. She doesn't have crazy multipliers in her kit. She's an attack-based champion. Her base attack isn't that bad. What is her multiplier here? Her multiplier on the A1, which is her only damage-dealing ability, is a 3.2. Now, she does join up using her A1 on the ally attack, but a 3.2 for me, you'll get most of your damage out of War Master, unless you really are having trouble keeping her alive. That's the only reason I would consider running her with crit rate, but it's a catch-22, because if you build her with 100% crit rate, well, she's going to be, harder to keep alive, thus needing the continuous heals more. So maybe if you're trying to min-max her damage in areas like Clan Boss, maybe that would be the time to build her for 100% crit rate. She's a good Clan Boss champion because on her A2, she also increases the duration of all ally buffs. So in terms of old school Demon Lord, she's the best ally attack option in the game, maybe second to Cardial, right? Teams up with 3 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies will use their default skills, fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%. That's a really nice turn meter fill that she's also bringing to the table on her Companions of Fate ally attack ability. Now, it is a 3 random allies, so while it will work for everybody on the team in the arena, you'll be leaving one person out at random, one champion out at random in PvE areas, or 2 at random in Hydra Clan Boss, something to be aware of there on that A2. Whereas a champion like Longbeard, you're having 4 allies join in the attack. On the Banner of Legend, we have an increased crit rate and an increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns, and then has a 50% chance of granting an extra turn. This is a great ability, except for Clan Boss. If you're using her on a speed-tuned team, this will ruin that. So you do want to shut off this A3 if you're using her on a speed-tuned Clan Boss team. Very important there. However, increased crit rate and increased attack is really nice. Unlike Creela Witch Arm, she doesn't have an AoE attack to go along with this, so she's putting out significantly less damage. Another reason why we're not building her with 100% crit rate. Unlike Creela Witch Arm, she's also not placing it for 3 turns. She's placing it for 2 turns instead of 3. And unlike Creela Witch Arm on the A2, on her ally attack, it's on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, not a 3-turn cooldown when booked, and there's no stun. Now, again, she does have that very valuable turn meter increase and the increased duration of all ally buffs and the speed that Creela does not have. So those are 3 really, really important things in her favor, which makes her certainly part of the conversation in terms of, a very unique option and very capable option, potent option for an ally attacker on your squad. So let me show you how I have her built in today's video. Stop with the pop-ups, man. Sometimes it's relentless. I can't imagine being a free-to-play player, never spending in this game, never wanting to spend in this game, and getting pop-ups thrown at me a million times a day. I can't even imagine. Anyway, I digress. Lanicus the Chosen. I threw her in a Divine Speed set, a Speed set, and a Protection set. I feel like people sleep on the 1-piece or 2-piece protection. I mean, you get the resistance and the HP. That's not bad at all for a two-piece set. And Divine Speed obviously is great. You get the HP shield, sure. And then you get the speed, most importantly. Speed is the main priority when building this champion. We don't need any accuracy when building Lanicus the Chosen. All we need really is speed and survivability. Again, that crit rate, if you can find it, sure, why not? If you're trying to min-max that damage, absolutely go ahead and build her with some crit rate. In today's video, I have her in more of an all-around build. I like these builds to try to, even if you don't have the artifacts that I have, at least the idea of the stat priorities, what we're aiming for here. I like to make something more realistic for all players out there in progression inside this game. So we have defense percentage on the gauntlets, and we have HP percentage on the chest. I like to, kind of split it in terms of HP percentage on one piece of gear, of the gauntlets or the chest, and the other on the other one, right, respectively. We have speed on the boots. And then, again, we're just looking for speed substats, right? You can build her with a little bit of resist, build her with a little bit of tankage. If you can get away with it, throw crit rate on those gauntlets, take advantage of that continuous heal, and you'll be looking really good with this champion. In terms of blessings, I just go with Intimidating Presence. I think it's a great option for Lanicus the Chosen. Other blessings you could go with would be... Brimstone. I guess you could go Brimstone. If you don't already have somebody with Brimstone on your team, go with Brimstone. The thing is, we don't need the accuracy at all, obviously. Actually, we do need the accuracy. I stand corrected on Brimstone, unless we have it at 6 stars, right? It's not guaranteed. So I guess, the problem with going Brimstone is you'll need the accuracy to land the smite unless you're lucky enough to have her all the way at 6 stars. So again, I would say go with Intimidating Presence, a perfect champion, for that option. Temporal Chains is another option, obviously. You get the defense, you get the HP as well. You do get some accuracy and eventually speed. You're going to be decreasing enemy speed by a percentage per active buff that they are under. If this applies to your team, wherever you're using her, you can consider that as well. Okay, so in terms of masteries for Lanicus the Chosen, well, you know what, guys? She's a champion that you can actually get utility out of without masteries. Not to say that they won't make her better. Of course they will. You can get a little bit more damage out of that War Master, tier 6 mastery on this champion. That's what we went with, obviously. I went down here with Lasting Gifts. Of course, she is bringing the buffs on that A3. So Lasting Gifts is going to be a great option. And again, they're only for 2 turns too. So increase crit rate, increase attack. Most importantly, we want to have that up as much as possible, right? As often as possible. So for that reason, I think that Lasting Gifts is arguably, along with War Master, the most important mastery for this champion. Lore of Steel as well. Books, super important on Lanicus the Chosen, especially on that A2. We want to get down to a 4-turn. So I would keep booking her until I get 1 book to go into that A2. And then if I was short on books, I'd probably stop there, right? So if you can get lucky, who knows? Maybe 1 book goes right to the A2 and you're golden. You don't even have to worry about masteries. You can just kind of take your time and prioritize other champions on your account on masteries. But I would say that Lore of Steel is probably the 3rd most important mastery on this champion, especially if, like me, you have a bunch or at least a couple basic sets on her, Divine Speed and Speed. So that's what we have in terms of artifacts. We have HP or defense on the banner. Of course, again, if you're trying to min-max your damage, you can go attack on the banner, go crit rate on the gauntlets as well. We have crit damage on the amulet from an old build. I'm glad I caught this here. We want anything but crit damage. We don't really need it here. I'm going to go with, let's see, do I have anything maxed out right now? I don't, of course. Well, you know what, guys? I'm just going to throw on a old... I'm going to throw everything that I click on right now is crit damage. I know you can't see it. I'm going to throw on some extra defense. Again, survivability with most champions is first and foremost when we talk about Lanicus the Chosen. So let's go ahead and throw on even a level 12 defense. I'll take it. I have defense or HP on the ring as well. Champion lore. We don't have any lore on Lanicus the Chosen, unfortunately. What a bummer. I want to know the backstory of Lanicus. So again, stat priorities are speed, survivability, and then after, if you're endgame, crit rate and attack, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and try her out, guys. Okay, let me think of an unorthodox way that you can use her, and that would be a blender comp, right? I say unorthodox, she's an ally attack champion after all, but frankly, I'd rather have a Farrakhan the Fat, right? I'd rather have somebody that brings the offensive buffs on the same ability as their ally attack. So let me go ahead and recently use, we can see the Fat Man right here. On his beatdown, it said increased crit rate, increased crit damage, and then all allies attack one enemy, right? So he has the increased crit rate, increased crit damage on the same ability like a Cardial as his ally attack. That's what makes these champions more preferable, even a Longbeard, more preferable than a Lanicus the Chosen on a Blender comp. Increased crit rate, increased crit damage on the same ability as their ally attack. That's why I say a little bit unorthodox to run Lanicus. The only reason I'd run Lanicus the Chosen is if, for whatever reason, I was running her on an unorthodox, I don't know, slower ally, a blender comp, like a Krisk, and I wanted to extend the duration, a double extend duration of buffs, something really crazy like that. Or if I didn't have a Farrakhan the Fat, or I didn't have him built, or any of the champions we mentioned, then you could run the blender comp. All you got to do is stick a bunch of AoE champions on the same team, AoE on the A1, excuse me, as the ally attacker, and it's really the fastest way, I think, to farm your Great Hall, right? She goes in with the ally attack, we barely even saw it, and then that's it. Game over, right? So all you have to do is build your ally attacker super fast. The speeds on everybody else don't matter that much, especially when, I guess this is a good thing that she brings to the table on a blender comp, right? Trying to play devil's advocate to myself. Those other champions don't have that turn meter boost like she does, right? Guys, let's do one more blender team here before we move on to some PvE content, because I love a good blender, man. I love a good blender. Again, you don't need all these champions. You just need, champions with AoEs on their A1. There we go. It's fast. It's fast. And all you need is your ally attacker to be as fast as humanly possible. Let's go ahead and move on to, I actually think we have Faction Wars open right now. 21 minutes left, excuse me. Let's do this. We're going to run Dirindil, Kaden, Darkale, Ghostborn, and Lanicus the Chosen. See what we can do with this team. I might come back to you when we get to the red boss, but this is one of those challenging faction wars, honestly, because we have that Valkyrie and Warcaster wave. That's so annoying. I remember how annoying that was for me in progression in this game. First wave is no big deal, and you can see that those buffs stay on pretty well, right? We kind of knocked Lanicus for having the only 3-turn cooldown on, or excuse me, only 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown on those buffs on her A3. But keep in mind, she is able to extend those buffs as well. So let's see, Warcaster is about to go, and he's about to put up that block damage, and then it's going to take a while to bleed through these champions. So let me see if he gets it off. I imagine he will, right? There it is. I'll come back to you guys when we get to the red boss. Be right back. All right, guys, here we go. The red boss, it is time. So let's see what we can do here. I do have Ghostborn in a shield set just to help me out in the beginning of these waves. That can be pretty challenging depending on where you are in the game. Annoying block damage there on the red boss. That's annoying. Man, I forgot this Dark Elf Faction War level 21. It's a little bit more challenging than some of the other ones out there. I always think of Dwarves as the most difficult one. At least that's I remember struggling the most on Dwarves myself. In Demon Spawn, I struggled a little bit back in the day as well. Any of you guys still working on Faction Wars? If so, where are you struggling the most? I would love to know, because I would love to make guides specifically for those factions, right? So, here we go. Not too bad. Once we actually got to the red boss, we killed those minions, things really sped up quite a bit. I will say the nice thing is Favor of the Chamber, right? Kaden, he's key to Dark Elf's Faction Wars. But, Lanicus is certainly adding quite a bit there. A lot of it doesn't show up on the stat sheet at the end of the day as well. The other area I wanted to show you guys before I let you guys go is Doom Tower. I use her as an ally attacker against the Griffin, right? I like including a couple different ally attackers against the Celestial Griffin. So we have Turvold, who has a very, very hard-hitting A1 ability. And then what I like to do is, whether it's Creela, whether it's in this case Farrakhan the Fat as well, basically get to the Griffin and then just chop him down with as much ally attack as humanly possible. So I'll come back to you guys after this wave when we get to the Griffin. All right, guys, that wasn't too long. I didn't need to cut there, really, but, I was silent, so might as well. So here we go, going in with the ally attacks. Of course, our buffs are removed, but once we can replace them, which we just did with Lanakis right there, right? That's going to allow... And having that increased crit rate, I never build a team with like 70% crit rate because I know I'm going to run them with an increased crit rate champion. But I do have Turvold, who just died, unfortunately, right? But I do have him built a little bit less than 100 because he's also bringing increased crit rate, so she can help cover those areas where we actually need him to deliver. So this is a very fast team. Obviously, people die during this run, but it's kind of built that way, right? Super fast. We bleed through that Griffin really quickly before he can kill us, and we have a new best, right? 36 turns on floor 110 hard. So there you go, guys. Lanicus the Chosen. I don't think I need to speak any more on her, right? She's a very simple champion to build, but she's special and she's unique in the way of other ally attackers with that turn meter boost and that increased duration, not to mention the sheer speed that she brings to the table. Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, take care, guys.